Good day and welcome to another episode of What's Happening Today, presented to you by Rapido News Network. In our first story, we will discuss the President Biden's administration's plan to fight inflation while still keeping the Federal Reserve autonomous. Post that, we will discuss the rising gas prices and inflations, which are the top travel concerns among Americans overtaking COVID fears, according to a survey. And in our final story, we will talk about the Russian Ukrainian conflict. So let's get started. In our first story, we will discuss the focus of the present administration on relentlessly rising prices across all the consumer sectors in the United States. President Joe Bieden plotted an inflation fighting strategy on Tuesday with the chairman of the Federal Reserve, with the fate of the economy and his own political prospects increasingly dependent on the action of the government's central bank. Biden hoped to demonstrate to the voters that he was attuned to their worries about higher gasoline, grocery, and other prices, while still insisting that an independent Fed will act free from political pressure. Like Biden, the Fed wants to slow inflation without knocking the US economy into the recession, a highly sensitive mission that is to include increasing benchmark interest rates this summer. The president said he would not attempt to direct that course as some previous presidents have tried. My plan to address inflation starts with a simple proposition: respect the Fed, respect the Fed's independence, Biden said. The sit down on a heat-drenched late spring day was Biden's latest effort to show his dedication towards containing the 8.3% leap in consumer prices over the past year. Rising gas and food costs have angered many Americans heading into the midterm elections, putting Democrats' control of the House and the Senate at a huge risk. US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen admitted on Tuesday that she had failed to anticipate how long high inflation would continue to plague American consumers as the Biden administration works to contain a mounting political liability. I think I was wrong then when about the path that the inflation would take, Yellen told CNN's Wolf Blitzer in the Situation Room when asked about her comment from 2021 that said that inflation was only a small risk. The admission was the latest indication that the administration's expectation of a normalizing economy were thrown into disarray by the continuing pandemic and the war in Europe. As I mentioned, there have been unanticipated and large shocks to the economy that have boosted energy and food prices and supply bottlenecks that have affected our economy badly, that I didn't understand fully at that time, but we recognize now, she said. Yellen and other White House officials once framed inflation as a temporary side effect of the economy returning to normal following the pandemic, pointing to snags in supply chain and demand outstripping supply. Now in our next story, after more than 2 years of largely staying home due to the pandemic, most Americans are ready to hit the road. Yet inflation and record-breaking gasoline prices are weighing on would-be vacationers, even more than the COVID concerns, according to a report by Morning Consult. Roughly 60% of Americans said that they would take more trips this year compared with last year. Although higher prices are now causing travelers to scale back their plans and go shorter distances, according to the survey commissioned by the American Hotel and Lodging Association. Now in our final story on the Russian Ukrainian conflict, the Russian military, beaten down and demoralized after 3 months of war, is making the same mistakes in its campaign to capture a swath of eastern Ukraine that forced it to abandon its push to take the entire country, according to senior American officials. While Russian troops are capturing territory, a Pentagon official said that their plodding and incremental pace was wearing them down, and that the military's overall fighting strength had been diminished by about 20%. And since the war started, Russia has lost around 1,000 tanks, a senior Pentagon official said last week. President Vladimir Putin of Russia appointed a new commander, that is General Alexander Dvornikov, in April in what was widely viewed in America as an acknowledgement that the initial Russian war plan was failing. Soon after his arrival, General Dvornikov tried to get disjointed air and land units to coordinate their attack, American officials said. But he has not been seen in the past 2 weeks, leading some officials to speculate as to whether he remains in charge of the war effort. Russian troops battled their way into the devastated Ukrainian city of Severodonetsk on Tuesday as their slow, brutal offensive in eastern Ukraine shifted from indiscriminate shelling to street fighting, with thousands of civilians still trapped among the ruins. With Moscow pressing its advance despite heavy losses, Ukraine's allies looked for new ways to raise the price that Russia pays for this aggression, while easing the pain it causes elsewhere. A day after the European Union agreed to ban most Russian oil imports, the bloc's focus shifted to aiding Ukraine and helping it resume food exports that are vital to feeding the world. Wrapping up a 2-day summit meeting in Brussels, European Union leaders agreed to $9.7 billion in aid to Ukraine this year, albeit with demands attached to fight corruption that has plagued the country. Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Union Executive Commission, said that the developing global food crisis is only the fault of Russia, which has seized or blockaded all of Ukraine's Black Sea port. That was all for the major news update for June 1st. Stay tuned for our next update on the ongoing world affairs. We hope that you find this video useful. If you like this video, hit like. And for a continued update on what's happening around the world, consider subscribing. And to never miss an update whenever we post something new, hit that bell icon. If you have any comments or any suggestions for us, please let us know in the comment sections below. Thank you.